I think the first step for a school is really to understand that this is an issue that they really have to address. That in some ways we're in a new time now where really these mental health problems and concerns about really emotional development are things that really at the forefront and things we need to address. Each school will need to come up with really its own unique solution based on their culture and the children and families they serve. However, I think there's core pieces of this that really probably transcend all different school systems and educational places. And that would be, first of all, there needs to be education about these mental health problems. There needs to be programs that talk about what depression is, what anxiety is, how it affects you as a young person. There also needs to be, I think, a program that really focuses on decreasing the obstacles about seeking care. And this is one about really empowering young people to ask for it themselves, to remove the stigma about really reaching out and obtaining the care. But then also a big important part is really working so they can help a peer or a friend, so that there's a communication between young people themselves, discussing those issues that they struggle with, and an understanding among the people in the school that if I'm hearing that problem as your friend or as a student at that school, I'm going to help you get the help you need. And then I think the next component is really having access to care. And so in that, the system that we would really want to develop is once we identify the problem, we have a place easily accessible so that the problems can be addressed. And then I think overall, really overlapping all of this is really the culture of the school. And that is the culture of the school is one that facilitates people getting help, people identifying the needs that they have, and then working with the different types of programs that really help address the struggles or the difficulties young people have and help facilitating really the healing process.
I think it's a culture change that needs to happen across the board at the school. The school and the parents and the community all need to come together, and they need to work to create an environment where that child feels safe and they feel protected. They feel there's compassion towards them, and the kids have compassion for each other and for themselves, that they know the resources, they're educated, they know what to do if they see something, and they're not afraid to take action. And I think that it's a whole culture change that has to happen. I think that we're in a situation now where schools are finding themselves in the situation where they have to take that role now. They're the core of what's happening in that child's life, and they're putting the resources into place. They're using community resources, internal resources. They're doing a lot more education, and I think that we're starting to see a shift that's happening in a lot of the Cincinnati schools towards that model.
There's many ways to access care. There are, as mentioned, many school-based mental health clinics. Actually, the majority of schools in our area now have professionals located in the school dedicated to providing care. Our pediatricians in the community, unlike any year before, have really taken up the mantle to try to address mental health issues, and many are getting trained in how to detect mental health problems and how to deal with them. So there's many avenues to reach out for help, whether it's a school-based therapist, whether it's a pediatrician's office, whether it's a mental health professional. And it's important that we as institutions or schools really become knowledgeable about what these avenues are so that a teacher or a school counselor can really refer on to that next level of care. It is available, and I think perhaps more than ever, we are seeing really the community at large become more equipped to kind of handle these problems and work to improve them.
We're very lucky in Cincinnati that we have the organization Mindpeace, who is working with social service agencies to bring social workers actually into the schools. They're providing service during the school day. They're seeing students. They're working with parents and staff of the school to evaluate if a child needs counseling, and they're actually getting it during the school day. This is eliminating a lot of the trouble for a parent to find a doctor, to take the child out of school, and it's actually integrating that system together into the school.
Yeah. Mindpeace has been very successful in putting these mental health therapists into schools. And most of the schools in our tri-state region now have mental health-based professionals in the schools. And this is seen really as a great way to improve access to care. Because this has oftentimes been a big area of struggle in mental health, is really getting access to the care you need. In working with our pediatricians, they are increasingly being more equipped to really identify mental health problems that their patients may have. So oftentimes they routinely are doing screens regarding mental health concerns, whether that be depression, anxiety problems, or really adapting to many of the stressors of everyday life. And so really from those screens, they actually oftentimes pick up young people that need care that perhaps was really unknown to parents. This is why it's so important that parents oftentimes work with their pediatrician, not only, of course, about their physical health issues, but also maybe some of the behavioral and mental health challenges the child may face.
1 in 5 has been doing a lot of research as far as what do we know out there nationally, what is going on in schools, what is actually helping the children. And one thing that's come to the forefront is this concept of self-care. And that we know from research that if a child has a mental health condition, self-care is critical. That would include the proper amount of sleep, proper nutrition, that they have an activity outside of school that they're passionate about, that they might do mindfulness, or they might have a meditation practice where they can actually step back and settle and feel more in their body. They can feel things more fully. It's also looking at their peer relationships. Are they healthy relationships? What's their relationship in their family? It's looking at all of those different elements have to be a part of good mental health.
Self-care is very important. There's issues around physical care. When people aren't physically well, they oftentimes have mental health challenges. And that can be from insufficient sleep, it can be from poor diet, it can be really from inactivity. So it's important, I think, as just mentioned, that young people remain active, they remain engaged with others. The other aspects really is also it's so important to have really a social component. Being intact or in place with people, having relationships that are important. Being able to discuss things, share your own opinions, understand others. These are normal parts of growing up. When we're only caught up in screen time, oftentimes we don't gain those skills or really appreciate what others may think and feel. Those are important aspects that really help us grow as people and really feel more satisfied with our lives. So it's important that we try to perhaps go away from some of the screen time and really get back to the real world, relating to our friends, parents, other people in our lives that are important. It's very important as a parent or even as a school administrator that you're not really dealing with this alone. There are things available in our community to assist. Whether that is a community mental health center that might be down the road from where you live or from where the school might be. It might be through an organization such as Mindpeace that really helps hook mental health providers with students. It could be a hospital that I work in that provides emergency care or care for young people that are in serious conditions. But it's very important that also we realize that it's not just mental health professionals that help. It's oftentimes school administrators. It could be coaches. It could be caring teachers at school. It could be family members that are beyond just your parents who can oftentimes assist when you're having a struggle. And so it's important that there's these kind of really informal supports that really make up very important parts of our lives, where we oftentimes feel satisfied, whether it's playing an activity or a sport, or whether it's being part of the band, or whatever type of interest you may have. So those types of supports help people get through day-to-day struggles. And it's important that we as adults who are helping young people make sure we help them take advantage of all those opportunities.
And I think another big piece is the education piece. I think that what we see with mental health conditions is a lot of people are not aware of what they're looking at. And as the organization 1 in 5, that's what our mission is that we really get into the schools and that we work with them to educate everyone about what the signs and symptoms are, what the resources are, how they can change their day-to-day life to be healthier, to have a healthier brain, and really a whole body approach to life. And I think that needs to start early in life. I think it needs to start when the children are starting in kindergarten, that they learn how to have free time. They learn to have time away from the screen. They learn how to step back and to settle, and that we're providing the tools that they can develop those skills as they develop it through their childhood. I think that it's a community effort that needs to be in place. All of these organizations coming together, I think it's critical that you look at the whole body, you look at the whole person, what pieces need to be in place to educate from kindergarten all the way through, that people know what they're looking at, and then they know the steps to take to actually deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point that really such a community-based organization such as 1 in 5, it really has helped, I think, in the community it's originated in, really helped establish a culture change. Mm-hmm. And it's not just schools or it's not just teachers, it's really the whole community. And I think people are beginning to speak a common language about getting kids the help they need.
Right.
And so it's really opened up a lot of doors and really have removed a lot of the obstacles that families and young people face to kind of getting the care that perhaps they require.
One thing that we've done that it's been incredibly successful is we've done a series of videos where youth are telling their stories about their mental health struggles. We had one that we did last week. 45,000 people watched that video. Kids are interacting with each other in a way that historically hasn't happened, where they're saying, I didn't know that you struggled like this. This is really helpful to me. This is normalizing that conversation in a way that hasn't happened. And I think that normalization of the conversation is very, very important going forward.